It's time to take a look at the tropics, and we do have some things that have been moving and changing out there. And what's going on is that we have a system that's soon to become either tropical depression or tropical storm. In fact, it's probably going to become both before long. But right now, at the moment, it's potential tropical cyclone 6. And it's now moving in close to the Lesser Antilles. We already have some watches in effect from San Juan, Puerto Rico, going into the Dominican Republic. Currently, now at our 4 o'clock update for today, winds are at 35 miles per hour. It's moving to the west-northwest at 17. The pressure is still pretty high at 10, 12 millibars. I expect that to lower just a little bit. But let's take a look at the forecast and what it's going to do. Now, we do expect it to become a tropical storm and then weaken back into maybe a depression, maybe just an area of low pressure again. But then once it moves out and gets closer to the Gulf of Mexico, look what happens. So winds are about 35 miles per hour Thursday, 40 miles per hour on Friday. Holding that on Friday night. Saturday, 45 miles per hour. Sunday, just when it's about to make landfall, whatever it's going to do, winds go up to 60 miles per hour. Now that would make a lot of sense because as we come back here, it's going to be dealing with very strong upper level winds, and also it's going to be skirting right along land. And anytime a tropical system is close to landfall, it's not really being able to breathe, might be the way of describing it as well. But once it pops into the Gulf, obviously the temperature of the water is much warmer, and so things are going to pop easily, and it's going to have just enough time to maybe grow, but probably not enough time to become a hurricane, which is probably good news. Now, how does this impact us in Texas? Probably not much at all. We could see maybe some elevated tides maybe pushing towards our direction. And even then, because the inertia is going to be pushing most of the action right there into Florida. Now, how confident are we about what's going on and how this is going to all pan out? Well, as far as the system itself, we're beginning to see just a little more organization with the system, but it's still got a ways to go before it's really going to become, once the circulation's closed and you can actually really see that defined circulation, that's when it'll be a depression. It'll probably go right from a depression to tropical storm quickly because winds are close to that anyway. But as far as our confidence, here's the computer models. Now take a look at this. When you see the computer models are close together, that means there's really good agreement amongst the models. Now, we've seen at times in the past where we'll have maybe a system, and again, it hasn't completely formed as of yet, and we would have computer models going to the left, to the right, all over the place. Well, Saturday, 4 days from now, do you see how close and tight-knit the computer models are for that? This is actually pretty impressive that the modeling is in such good agreement on this. But that's the good about that is that we're pretty confident that we don't need to worry about it here in Southeast Texas. Now, of course, it's still several days away. I'm not going to say we have the all clear, but things are certainly looking better for us, especially coming a little bit closer now. Now, Florida's a different story, but it's going to be most likely a tropical storm. We'll start to see like Friday night through Saturday and Sunday because it's going to take its time moving through here. So they're going to have kind of a long weekend in Florida. But because if it stays over here, we're really not going to see. In fact, we could see some better weather out of this because if the low pressure's here, that means everything's going around it counterclockwise. Well, counterclockwise would mean possibly a northeast wind for us by about Sunday or so. And northeast wind for us would be slightly drier air, and that would mean quieter weather. So we'll see. There's still a lot that has to happen, but at this point anyway, it does appear that we're going to get our 6th named storm. So Fred would be Tropical Storm Fred, and we'll see what develops from there. All right, let's talk about the seasonal averages. Now, earlier in the year, we were talking about this, but I wanted to kind of give you an update about this as well. So when we're talking about the average number of hurricanes, you know, we say this year the average number would be this many or that many. That is all based off of at least a 30-year average. And so the last averages we were going off of was from 1981 to 2010. Okay, during that time period, the average, if you go back 30 years from that, would be 12 named storms, 6 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes, okay? Well, now let's jump ahead to 1991 to 2020, and so just this past year, we had an update on our average for our hurricane season, and notice we went from 12 named storms to 14, 6 hurricanes to 7, but the major hurricanes stayed the same. Now, why would we see an increase in these numbers? Does this mean that global warming is happening? Well, it doesn't mean, it could be yes and no on any of those things, but what we do know, a couple of things. One, yes, we are seeing more named storms, but keep in mind now, some of the storms that are being named are these subtropical storms. Okay, and I realize this is not going to be a meteorology class, but a subtropical storm is not a tropical storm. In the way that it's made, the way that it's turning, the way that the whole system is working, it's different. Now, but people, do you really care if it's subtropical or tropical if the winds are 45 miles per hour? Probably not. But from a meteorological point of view, there's some issues with that. We've been naming a lot more subtropical storms in the last 30 years, especially the last 5, let's be honest. So if we do that, so that's part of that. But yes, we are seeing more storms as well. But also keep in mind that hurricanes and hurricane seasons are very cyclical. In other words, cycles happen. In the 30s, we had a lot of hurricanes. And right after 2005 was the year when we were having a lot of hurricanes, and it goes back and forth. And it's been doing that for hundreds of thousands of years. So we're trying to take kind of a geologic problem and cram it into a news cycle. However, we are seeing more named storms, and we are seeing more stronger storms by a titch up. So that's what we're looking at. And so yes, we are going to continue to see things like that and growing, but watch the next 30 years from now, if by then, if I'm not sure if I'll be retired by then, but the next 30 years we could see it also backing off a little bit. So that's one of the things that we continue to watch, and that's the kind of things that I like to talk about during our tropical update, giving you updates not only on what's happening out there, but some insights of some of the things that we've been seeing as of late. We'll see you next time.